These are profit data compiled by the Department of Commerce. These are not just volunteered by the companies themselves, right? These are not just reported. These are the ones that the Department of Commerce gins up based on the income tax returns. And so these are good data as opposed to the other kind. Now, taking a look at the late 90s, taking a look at the late 90s, don't focus on today, because today, of course, the line's way up there, right? But taking a look at the late 90s, very carefully, in what year do you think, does it appear that the profits peaked?
97.
97? I heard someone say 98. Does everybody see that? And then which way did they go?
Down.
South. Now you're going to say, well, Mike, 98, 2000, 97, 2002, 3 years early, big deal. Well, very important. If you were there in those days and you had seen this going on 2 or 3 years early, you might have become suspicious. And so as a matter of fact, the point we want to make today is that the profits as recorded officially peaked in 1997 and then began to head south. Trouble was brewing. Does everybody understand? Trouble was brewing. Now let's go back to the first chart. And because you're going to say, Mike, but look at that. The earnings that these companies reported, they kept on going north. Well, what's the motto of that story? The earnings they reported kept on going north, that is to the public, but the ones they reported to the IRS, which is where all the official figures are. Anybody remember Enron? Does everybody understand what was going on? Now, I don't want to create the impression that this was just a problem of skullduggery. Does everybody understand that it was just, well, this was all a problem of bogus? It was not. When you take a look at that chart, what should have been the clue, the first clue that something was wrong? Even if you had seen the earnings, even if you take the earnings at face value, which, as I said, you shouldn't do, even if you take the earnings at face value, what should have been your first clue? That something was wrong. It has to do with the S&P, excuse me, it has to do with the price-earnings ratio.
It went down. It started to go down while the...
Well, that's not the answer I wanted. Which way was the price-earnings? Now, you're correct. Of course, the price-earnings ratio started to ease. But from 1995 to 2000, which way was the price-earnings ratio headed?
No.
Always north. And what does that tell you? It tells you there's speculation, doesn't it? In other words, what's happening is the investors are bidding up the value of those stocks far faster than earnings are growing. And that should tell you that, wait a minute, this looks like speculation. Keith, what was the average for those 50 years after World War II? We said
15.
About 15. Now we're getting up toward 30. What does that tell you? It tells you that the stocks are rising much more rapidly than earnings. You've got to be careful. It's a warning bell, right? And as a matter of fact, as it turns out, there was trouble, because we found out when you click on profits that the profits had indeed peaked in 97. Everybody see the problem? In other words, the sand was shifting out from under the feet of the whole thing. And it's going to be our job to find out why. Now, even if you click on the next chart, which is manufacturing corporations, even then you can see a peak in the late 90s. Even just for manufacturing corporations alone, just manufacturing, you can see there's a peak. And then it kind of drops, it rises again, but it doesn't keep on going north after 1997. Now you're going to say, well, Mike, manufacturing corporations, who cares about those? We're in the post-industrial economy. I mean, what's manufacturing? That's gym lockers or something. Not true. Is Intel a manufacturing corporation? Yeah, it is. So manufacturing isn't just gym lockers. There's some important stuff going on. So we should always follow manufacturing. It's an important sector. And we're going to see why as we go through this. All right? So there's a problem. Does everybody understand? There's a problem which you could have seen. And we're going to go to the web before too long. Now, once again, is it Kevin?
Yes.
And a T. Kevin, what was the mantra of the new economy? What was supposed to make the new economy? What was the engine? We already used the word. Technology, and technology was supposed to spur efficiency. And the economists don't use the word efficiency, they use the word productivity. Right?